he literally just said, like I said, everything that a girl would want to hear in that situation. I love you. I want to get back to you. I made all these mistakes. I'm willing to do anything.
That's Thida. And yes, you heard that right. She might have accidentally stumbled across a way to make avoidance obsess over you. Now, here's the cool part. This didn't work with just one specific guy. Check this out.
And you said like all your exes came back though, like every single one.
Every single and more. It wasn't just my ex. It was literally everybody I've known from my whole entire existence.
A few months ago, before I conducted this interview with Thida, she was desperate to get her dismissive, avoidant ex back, and she made pretty much every mistake you can imagine. And then something clicked for her, and everything just fell into place. So what are we missing here? What could Thida have possibly discovered that makes more than one avoidant? Theoretically, all her avoidant exes began to obsess with her and ask for her back. Well, I decided to dig a bit deeper into that interview I did with Thida, and let me tell you, she's actually really smart. She discovered what I think is a new blueprint for success with avoidance, and there are 3 main steps to it. Now, step 1 is to energetically detach and prioritize yourself. Now, in the interview, Thida describes this breaking point where she decides to take all of her focus off of her avoidant ex and put it on herself.
For me, I did struggle between April and August. I did struggle, but something snapped by the time I had failed no contact, like the 5th time, that I was just like, I need to give up because this is crazy. And I felt like I was stuck in a cycle that I couldn't get out of. So it was when I decided to choose me first.
Now, this shift seems like common sense, right? But you would actually be shocked at how difficult it is for someone who has the avoidant built up in their head as the be-all, end-all to stop looking at them at that way, to knock them off the pedestal. Have you ever heard of the sunk cost fallacy? It's this phenomenon where a person is reluctant to abandon a strategy or course of action because they have invested heavily in it, even when it's clear that abandonment would be way more beneficial. Now, that happens for a lot of people who are trying to win back avoidance. After investing so much time and emotional energy, they feel as though letting go means all the effort they put into it would have been for nothing. They hold on to the hope that maybe just a little more persistence will get them the outcome they want. But here's the paradox. The more they invest, the more they feel trapped. And the harder it becomes to detach and focus on themselves, which is often the very shift that needs to happen in order for them to rebuild their lives and fix the situation they're in. Or in the words of Thida,
in order to change the dance, you have to change the song.
Which for a lot of people is super scary. It's akin to playing emotional chicken, because for them, letting go is a gamble. It's stepping away from the familiarity of chasing someone. I know that seems kind of weird, but bear with me here. Letting go carries a real risk of losing that person forever. Now, for many, the fear of this outcome is paralyzing, and it really keeps them stuck, continually investing energy into someone who may not reciprocate in the way they hope. And yes, sometimes letting go of an avoidant means they won't be coming back. I mean, this isn't an exact science. But here's the unexpected part. More often than not, what happened with Thida is what happens.
And I was just like, I give up. And it was like the moment my energy shifted and I like went off the grid of that relationship, that was when he came, like he snapped back like a rubber band.
Now the question here is, why does this work? I mean, this is not a phenomenon I've just witnessed with Thida. You can literally look at some of the YouTube videos I've done over the years and see me interviewing people who have experienced a similar outcome. So I've consistently noticed that the moment you let go of an avoidant, they do start coming back like a rubber band. Now, attached, we'll talk a lot about this idea of a phantom ex. An avoidant can wake up long after the relationship has gone stale, having forgotten all those negative things that annoyed them about their partner, wondering what went wrong and reminiscing longingly about their long-lost love. So you let go, and the avoidant puts you in the Phantom X category. Potentially. Now, avoidant website Free to Attach believes that avoidants are free to long for an ex once that person is unavailable, out of a relationship, and typically out of contact. It just seems so simple, right? Just give up on your avoidant momentarily and boom! All of a sudden they start obsessing over you again. So why is it that that isn't happening for the majority of people who let go? Well, I think there's a distinction to make. There's more to it than just letting go. That's where Thida's second step comes into play. Her second step is all about rebuilding your life and embracing a personal transformation. A few videos ago, I talked about this hypothesis I had with attachment theory. Basically, it goes like this. This circle represents you. You are a secure attachment style. I'm going to color it green because green represents balance, harmony, and emotional stability. Now, this circle represents your partner. They are an avoidant attachment style. I'm going to color it gray because gray represents a detached nature. Now, here's what happens when they collide. A subtle battle will play out. Now, at first, things may seem fine. But over time, the avoidant's need for emotional distance starts to clash with your need for connection. It starts with the avoidant retreat. The avoidant will pull away. Maybe they start to become distant or unresponsive. They shut down emotionally. This triggers uncertainty in you. You, as a secure partner, might try to close that gap, which of course causes the avoidant to push back. The more you try to close that distance, the more the avoidant partner retreats, and it creates a type of feedback loop. You start to feel confused, wondering if you've done something wrong or why they seem to shut you out. This tension keeps building until one of three things will happen. Either one, the secure will become anxious, which is an avoidant win. You, the secure partner, begin to feel anxious. You weren't like this before, but now you feel uneasy, constantly questioning the relationship and seeking validation. In this scenario, the avoidant attachment style has won, pulling you into a more anxious space as you chase after the connection they keep at an arm's length. Then, the avoidant could become secure, which is the secure winning. In rare cases, the avoidant partner may begin to open up and shift towards a more secure attachment. They start to trust in the relationship and the emotional stability you offer, which helps them overcome their fear of intimacy. Or the secure gets fed up and leaves, which really no one wins. The secure person grows tired of the emotional roller coaster. They realize the relationship isn't worth the constant back and forth, and they leave, ending the cycle without either side truly winning the battle. What I think is happening to most of my clients is they come into the relationship with their partner as a secure individual, but that battle unfolds and inevitably turns a secure person into an anxious one. So here's what I've learned about how anxious people handle breakups. They basically hyper-obsess themselves over how to fix the problems that they falsely believe are their fault, and they get stuck in this almost negative feedback loop, trapping them in a cycle of blame and regret. In Thida's words,
you hear from them after not hearing from them, and you're so wishing that the relationship could be back to where it was, that you're basically forgetting yourself just to do something that you think would bring them back into your life. And like I said, it was after being hurt for so much, seeing him try to move on too with other women. You know, he's dealing with things his own way, and it was just being hurt.
That constant wish to fix things only deepens the cycle. It makes it harder to break free. The more they believe that they can somehow repair the relationship by focusing on what they did wrong, the more stuck they become in a loop that's difficult to escape. But at a certain point, something breaks in Thida, and she just naturally breaks out of that loop. She starts committing to self-improvement.
I lost like 30 pounds within that
That-
time. I got into like the best shape of my life. Like I said, did things within that short year that probably I couldn't have done within 10 years, like prior.
Her career starts skyrocketing.
My career like skyrocketed, didn't just take off, it skyrocketed. Everything that I said I was going to accomplish, I did all within that year.
And I want you to notice her goals aren't making an avoidant obsess over her. They're all personal.
I just focused, like I said, on 100% everything to do with me.
Ah, and there it is. I just focused 100% on me. The one thing that I guarantee that most of the people who click on this video who desperately want to make an avoidant obsess over them aren't doing. Now, I'm making this seem easy. It's not easy. But that's where Thida's third step comes into play. Cultivating secure detachment and practicing complete release. Developing a secure response. What is that? I mean, what does that even look like? Well, in this video, I talk a lot about how secure people have made themselves immune to people pulling away from them. They've reprogrammed their minds, and I essentially give this really long explanation about how they do it. Hint, hint, they're just super confident with themselves. So in my interview with Thida, I ask her this really interesting hypothetical question.
Okay. Well, here's the hardest question I'm going to ask you. Let's say you are in a situation where you find the perfect guy and then he breaks up with you. Do you feel like you would make the same mistakes over again? Or do
No,
you feel like you'd be
absolutely not.
quicker to hitting that rock bottom and doing what worked last time?
No, I would let him go because if he wants to go, he's not mine. You know what I mean? I can't keep him there. You know, a relationship like is a two-way street. So I just gotta let him go. And
Thida's response perfectly captures secure detachment when she says,
I can't keep him there. You know, a relationship like is a two-way street. So I just gotta let him go.
she knows that security isn't about clinging. It's about respecting freedom. Instead of seeing his departure as a threat to her worth, she recognizes that genuine connection has to be mutual. This mindset, confidence in her own value, makes her immune to someone pulling away. But she was only able to achieve this because she lived her life under the assumption that her avoidant ex wasn't going to come back.
For me, like holding on is like adding resistance to that wire, right? The more resistance you add to a wire, the energy can't travel through it because there's resistance. Once you let go, once you release that resistance, the energy flows better.
And that's the interesting thing about Thida. In my interview with her, she talks a lot about this concept of energy and feeling the energy. Now, my personal opinion on energy or things like that is a little bit rocky at best. I mean, I tend to be pretty skeptical of invisible things that deliver results. But even a skeptic like myself will admit to having observed an interesting phenomenon with avoidants. They have this almost uncanny ability to sense anxiety from anxious individuals. Now, maybe they're picking up on it from the tone of voice, a nervous glance, or just a vibe. Whatever it is, anxiety in and of itself tends to push avoidance away. Now, at the same time, avoidants magnetically seem to be drawn to secure individuals, or at least people who have or can project a secure level of confidence. And when someone signals confidence, like they don't need their partner to feel complete, it creates this attraction loop. It's like the avoidant can sense that the other person isn't chasing, isn't holding on too tightly, and that makes them want to lean in. So maybe Thida is onto something with this energy idea after all. But the big question then is, well, how do you get this energy that Thida is talking about? And maybe the only answer is to literally just do everything Thida said to do. Energetically detach and prioritize yourself. Rebuild your life and embrace a personal transformation. Cultivate a secure attachment response. Or you could watch this video where I talk about the 5 most attractive habits that make avoidance beg for your attention. And let me tell you, one of the big things that I learned from researching that video is that what an avoidant says they want isn't necessarily what they want.